Hello and welcome back to KoasTV's live coverage of the EUS Challenger Series number 5. This is the second best of 3. Apologies, we are slightly behind schedule, but of course, if you did catch that first best of 3, it was pretty long and intense. Either way, this time around, we're going to have Heimerdingers Colossi facing off against Animate. Animate is joined by Spuddington, and we're into the picks and bans here, Spud.
Yeah, we should be getting underway. Yeah, like you say, we are in fact already underway. I'm shocked, but I assume you are in the lobby this time. And we have got the bans on my screen being Elise, Rengar, Twisted Fate, Kha'Zix. I'm a little bit curious actually. Rengar?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back that we had Vizics using Rengar yesterday, if memory serves me correctly. So that would make sense under those circumstances. It played a very strong Rengar at the end. You actually had the Rengar Orianna combo where he would use Thrill of the Hunt, run in there, and the Shockwave would be on top of him while he was invisible. Incredibly strong combination. So obviously Heimerdingers Colossi were watching the game, did a bit of homework, and I thought, no, we don't want any of that, we'll just ban it out. Also, Shen has been taken out, so it's going to be back to that 6th ban for Animate, and they're going to go ahead with Zed.
Okay, so I haven't actually seen a lot of Zed since the last patch. He seemed to have been nerfed almost a little bit too hard, like he wasn't going to be seen anymore almost. But obviously someone plays him well, Yamato Cannon maybe. I don't know particularly for certain, but obviously Zed can be played mid or top. So I am obviously a little bit behind. So what are the picks thus far?
Thus far, they're hovering over Poppy, and I would not expect to see Poppy locked in here. Would be incredibly interesting, and another kind of breath of fresh air as we saw Veigar the last couple of days, but I wouldn't expect in. So,
Placeholder pick?
I would imagine so. That's what I'm going to go with, but still, that's strange. Bass, of course, if you do get any info, it's Zach. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Zach was left open. He has been played. I don't want to say every time thus far in the EUS Challenger Series 5, but if he hasn't, it must be really close.
He's certainly been proving himself to be an absolutely top tier pick at the moment. Partly because of his flexibility, but mostly just because of flexibility. Yeah, flexibility as in pick rolls, what I actually meant rather than, you know, a pun. But mostly because of his ability to just be a really solid initiator. Tons of damage, lots of CC, really good character all around.
So we could have another Varus pick, and nothing really to note. He has been chosen again alongside Zach pretty much every single game that I can recall over the last few weeks. He is definitely regarded as one, if not the best AD carry out there right now, and he is going to be laning alongside the Thresh. So level 6, you're going to have the box and the Chain of Corruption, lots of CC, lots of damage, definitely one to watch out for. Plus the Lantern ganks as well. You saw Animate were toying with the idea of picking up a Nautilus, so I'm not sure if they're going to go ahead with that, but Lantern gank and Nautilus equals a lot of pain. So definitely one to watch out for. On Heimerdingers Colossi, they are going to be toying with their 2nd and 3rd picks here. Of course, Mithy is their support, Extinct is their mid laner. We saw an awesome highlight reel clip actually from Extinct when I casted them last time on Fizz. His escape was brutal. It was just amazing. So I'm curious to see where he's going to go. He picked Fizz to counteract Twisted Fate. I would doubt he'd be picking that one up so early. He's been playing a lot of Jace over the EUS Challenger Series, and he is going to lock that one in again. So expect to see Extinct in mid with Jace.
Yeah, and Jace is a bit of an unconventional mid laner. Obviously, AD. He builds AD, which is a really unusual thing, but, you know, well, not that unusual, but he builds AD. He is kind of 500 range on him, which is actually a little short for mid, but obviously a lot more damage than most AD building mid laners. Obviously has that kind of ability focus. He's this peculiar hybrid of being an AD caster and kind of almost an AD carry, and also being a bruiser. He's a very strange champ, really, if you actually think about it, Jace. But anyway, obviously, solid character all around, is good in that mid lane. Can also play top, so they could just swap that up later on. But wouldn't be surprised to see him in either slot, actually, really.
He's been doing such a good job with the Jace mid, I would expect to see him there. It's so much poke damage, for example. He goes with, of course, the Muramana, the Last Whisper, maybe the Black Cleaver as well thrown in for good measure. So they are going to take the Nautilus. They were toying with the idea before. They've gone ahead and locked it in now. So those Lantern ganks are going to be very, very terrifying from Heimerdingers Colosse's perspective. They have a Caitlyn, so the 90 caliber net will be able to get her away if they do the 2v2 at the bot lane. But also Vizic is going to be picking up the Kennen. We've seen Kennen played a few times in the EUW Challenger Series as well. On the whole, I don't think it's worked out too great for the Kennen players, but maybe they're going to turn it around here. Because Animate, I don't know if you caught the last games, but I think I was casting it with Stress when we did Animate against Absolute Legends. But they looked extremely strong, like a breath of fresh air for them. They came back stronger than ever. They got knocked out by British Tea Time, as they were then known, now known as Dignitas UK. And they looked a kind of bit ropey, but last time against Absolute Legends, they really held their own. They looked incredibly solid.
Yeah, and Absolute Legends have been proving themselves to be really, really solid as well. Kennen's actually a pick that's been popular in Korea, as far as I'm aware. Something you very often see there, and he's very, very popular with that. So I'm not surprised to see him. I don't know the specifics of Kennen versus Jace or Kennen versus Zac, but I would imagine Kennen would actually do pretty decently against both of those characters. He has that burst, he has that kind of CC lockup if necessary, if they get aggressive on him, and obviously he has that constant harass. He also has the flexibility to go AD or AP, which I would expect normally AP, but you do quite often see AD, or sometimes weird hybrid things like Blade of the Ruined King into Zhonya's Hourglass, which I've seen several times, but wouldn't be surprised to see pretty much anything out of Kennen.
Yeah, a lot of Kennens will go for some AD and maybe Doran's Blade or so at the start of the game, just to give them a bit more survivability. And of course, with the auto attacks, he does have a fairly long range, so that's going to put down some damage. And he does scale off AD a fair bit as well. So we are going to have the remake coming in here. Obviously, as we said previously, Poppy was the Zac. They're going to have to make the remake due to the placeholder pick, and we'll be back into this very shortly. But you did see Ari at the end there being picked up for Animate, so I really like their AoE comp. They've got Kennen, Nautilus, Thresh and Varus doing a lot of AoE, a lot of CC as well, and then in amongst all of that you're going to have Ari just skirting around the outsides with the Spirit Rush, picking off players left, right and centre. So I'm very, very interested to see how they're going to execute this composition.
Yeah, with that they also have quite a bit of mobility, so will be interesting to see, as you say. We will obviously be watching the picks going through again, but now they're going to be taking as long as possible with their bans to Heimerdinger, of course, from alternate. You never want Heimerdinger's Colossi to have him available. But we do, as I say, going to be seeing some. Oh, they're going for KFC.
Yes, the KFC bomb has been dropped. There you go. HZM, I'm not sure what that stands for, but KFC, pretty straightforward. You do have a Lulu as well. I didn't mention that before, that it's going to be Lulu Caitlyn, so that is pretty much terrifying, very much a poking lane. Do you think, Spuddington, that they're going to go for the 2v2 or switch this one up?
It's hard to know. They're both actually very strong bot lanes, and if you're curious in chat why they're picking again, the reason they're picking again, because someone didn't have Zac, so that's why they locked in Poppy as a placeholder at the top. They then obviously remade the lobby and the bans are irrelevant, so they pick exactly the same champions, but they replace the placeholder with Zac. So obviously you will see that picked up by Malunu, it seems. No, maybe, what?
Maluno went for it, yeah. It looks like it's going to be Yamata Khan at top with Jarvan, and Maluno is going to be taking Zac in the jungle. Also Shaka as well, we're mentioning Maluno. So Shaka played Elise last time that we were casting them and got a beautiful Baron steal. Really, really well played. Now obviously Nautilus doesn't have the same kind of maneuverability as an Elise with the repel, but he is very, very scary. So you've got this heavy CC AoE lineup actually from both teams. The Cataclysm, the Let's Bounce, on top of that the Wild Growth. A lot of Lulus will chime together with Zac so that when Zac lands his slingshot and starts the Let's Bounce, you'll have the Wild Growth on top of that. It's just an additional knock-up. So much CC. You've got the poke damage coming in as well from both Caitlyn with the Piltover Peacemaker, Ace in the hole, the Shock Blast being rained down from Jace as well. So definitely one to watch out for, Spuddington. Both teams, I think, have got an equal crack at this game. I can't really say I believe this team will win because of their composition. They both look strong.
Yeah, they just all around solid. One of the lanes to watch is definitely going to be Yamato Cannon on that top lane, Jarvan. It's a very bursty top lane, actually, which is going to be interesting to see. But anyway, we will be moving to a quick commercial break while we wait for the delay timer to tick down. So we will be seeing you when we are in game.
It must be in our minds, 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 minds. It must be in
Hello ladies and gents, welcome back. We are back into the action once again on the loading screen, about to jump into the rift between Heimerdingers Colossi and Animate. There we go, we have loaded in. Met is joined by Spuddington, and we are live into game number 1 here, Spuddy. We were talking a bit in the break. You know, the previous best of 3, it's a valid tactic to play quite slow and steady, but Heimerdingers Colossi really only have one kind of mentality, and that is aggression. They like to play super aggressive. Sometimes they do get caught out because they're over aggressive, and it actually works against them. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a flurry of kills in this game, a lot of action going down.
Well, you can just see it in their picks. I mean, the fact they have a Jarvan the fourth top, that alone says aggression, because there is Jarvan the fourth in the top lane. He has an incredibly strong early game. I mean, his damage is just huge off just levels. And if he builds, a Brutalizer, if he starts to build maybe a Black Cleaver, something like that, he will get even stronger with that. But he does tend to have problems with getting later on into the game where his scaling as a top laner just seems to not be so great in duels. He transitions well to team fights, but unless he's snowballed, he's generally going to come out worse in that laning phase. And we are actually seeing some first blood fishing here from Alternates. Going to be having a four-man stack actually in that banana brush there, but they have actually been spotted out. They were seen heading into there from that little tuft of brush. So that's actually going to give Heimerdingers Colossi some freedom, actually, to just pretty much do what they want in the jungle.
Yeah, they are actually walking into the ward here in the bush that not many people do check, so lots of pings are going down. At this point, Heimerdingers Colossi know exactly what's happening. They know that Animate are coming in for this red steel. Extinct is going to fire up the shock blast there. Flag comes over as well, and that's pretty much going to sign the end of this engage. But Animate have spent a little bit too much time here. They're going to be late to the blue buff, so that is going to allow basically Maluno to pick up his red buff slightly before the blue on the side of Shaka, which could give him a potential advantage when it comes to those first few ganks. Either way, you are going to have the lane switch up coming about here. Vizic is going to be against the Lulu Caitlyn combination, which will leave Yamato Cannon facing off against Varus and also Thresh. So very interesting stuff right off the bat here, Spuddington. Who do you think it favours though with this switch up?
Well, I have to say that Kennen should have an easier time farming in that lane against 2, but in terms of actually keeping his tower up, I feel like Jarvan is going to be a more threatening presence, although there is always that risk that he could get grabbed there. We are seeing that Jace in the mid lane Extinct, obviously starting to put down a little bit of damage on Akilord. He's pulled out that range form now. Did I think use that to the skies already on that Ahri? And there you go, just that shock blast and acceleration gate combo. It isn't scaling up too madly yet, but it will in time get to be a very, very scary combo. We are seeing that pressure in the bottom lane. The lane has pushed out Yamato Cannon, now trying to get this farm, but he has to be very, very careful at the moment. He's level 2 there. He's level 1, they're level 2, and that's a very scary thing for you to be. If he gets a Thresh hook on him now, odds are he would die. So obviously now he's a little bit higher. We'll be able to just kind of farm this out. And actually in a 2v1 lane, that's going to suit him quite well because Jarvan scales very well off just experience. He doesn't necessarily need the gold. And that's actually one of the interesting things about that Jarvan top lane. He doesn't need that farm, so he can just afford to sacrifice that in order to keep his tower up a little bit longer. He can afford to just kind of get aggro and not be too worried. We are seeing Shaka in that top lane though. He's trying to keep the Vizicsacsi in.
Yeah, we do actually see Maluno had about a 10-second advantage with the clear time, but of course, as you said, Nautilus did go to the top lane to fill in some of the blanks there. Jarvan is going to be last hitting underneath the tower, and this is going to allow Maluno to go ahead and pick up his double golems as soon as his slingshot is used. So there we go, he's going to be jumping over the wall, pick up the double golems. In the meantime, Nautilus is still hanging around the top lane, but we are on this kind of lull of action here. In the first 5 minutes, it is generally a farming frenzy, and then the junglers start to get more involved and you see more action, especially from Heimerdingers Colossi. They love to push the envelope early on in the game. Extinct is going to be recalling, started with the patented Fairy Charm first on the Jace build, and he will be finishing off his Tear of the Goddess. Going to be stacking that up as soon as possible. Maluno is charging his slingshot here, going to be jumping through any second now. Nope, he's cancelled right at the last second, so he's not going to be jumping through, and looks like we are just going to have both junglers caressing their solo laners, not doing a great deal more.
Yeah, that's all they really need to do at the moment. They're just making sure that their top laners don't get shut down and then making sure that the towers don't fall too fast. But what we're seeing at the moment is that Shaka and Vizicsacsi are having a much more difficult time keeping their tower up. Actually, we have got the grab going down on Mithy, but it didn't really achieve very much. Actually, in turn, are seeing Just a little bit of pressure up at that top lane. The tower will drop much faster than Yamato cannons at this rate. Samwise and Akamezz having a lot of trouble pushing this down, and by comparison. And it is looking like they are going to pick up that one bit of damage there. It's not going to go down to this wave, maybe not the next one, but within 2 or 3 waves, as long as nothing changes, I think that top tower is going to go down. Shaka and Vizicsacsi are in trouble though. Extinct is hanging around, waiting in the wings here. Lunu is down bot and is charging that slingshot, but it's not going to happen. Looks like they're just going to abandon the tower up top, actually.
Yeah, and it's like a declaration of intent from when you have a Lulu and Caitlyn lane. They're more than likely going to switch it up, and they're more than likely going to get the first blood on towers. So that's pretty much what's happened here. The poke damage is way too strong. You can't get close. We do have some action coming down here at the bot lane. First blood going for Yamato cannon on towards Varus. So the Balluno slingshot finally pays out dividends. And accompany that with the fact that the top tower is pretty much about to go down. You have to say Heimerdingers Colossi starting this game very, very confidently.
Yeah, that's put them significantly ahead. They're going to be able to rotate Caitlyn and Lulu back down to that bottom. They're going to be able to get, Yamato cannon in position to maybe look to force that dragon soon. Yeah, commanding lead at this point. Jace in that mid lane though, he's actually also coming out pretty strong here. 42 CS to 34 on Ari. He's been bullying her around, forcing it into the tower. That's causing her a lot of problems at the moment. He's also farming up that tier. He will sooner or later hit the point where that is capable of turning into a Muramana. He's not the fastest farmer actually. Akilord forced to pop that ultimate to get away. Shaka going to be trying to chase Extinct down, but does not have the means to do so. Akilord going to be backing on out. And yeah, nothing too much happening right now, but I would expect to see some pressure coming out soon. Yamato cannon is kind of switching from top lane and actually looking now towards more bot.
Yeah, very true. I have to apologise, my voice sounds a bit dead, but I am under the weather at the moment, have a bit of a cold, so I'll try my best to persevere through this. Either way, Extinct and Balluno are pushing through the mid here. Hypercharge has been popped off from Extinct, of course, will give him the attack speed bonus. Meanwhile, Yamato cannon comes through. Dredgeline comes out alongside a Death Sentence, not quite managing to land there, but they have completely left the top lane available for Kennen to get some free farm. Much needed free farm from his perspective. Ari's going to be forcing out Balluno and Extinct here. Needs to be careful though, because they can put down a lot of damage very, very short period of time. And you do actually have the lane switch up going back again. So we have the 2 duo lanes at bot, and Lulu and Caitlyn looking to push this tower as well. And I have to say, Heimerdingers Colossi, their lane switches have always been pretty much perfect. Every time the lane switch, they come out ahead in towers.
Yeah, they're just currently playing the push strat, and that is working really, really well for them. At the moment, that bottom tower isn't looking great. 58 CS on that Varus to 65 on Caitlyn. The BF sword as well. I feel like Caitlyn is just going to keep pressuring this unless a jungler gets involved. Speaking of which, Shaka is hanging around in that back tri-brush there. So I feel like they smell a rat here though. Freeze and Mithy are just going to be backing out. Shaka there actually started his recall but did not finish it. Got it very, very close though, and he's going to start that recall again. Going to be just hanging around. He wants to be here if they are aware. But they have that pink ward going down now, and Akamezz instantly green wards it there, and now getting aggressive, and that kind of reveals that Nautilus was there. That's going to mean that no one's really going to do anything. Don't know if Shaka is visible recalling there, but possibly not the best place to do so if that's the case.
Oh, Jace is already chunking with his shot blast. He only really has a long sword for his damage. So, of course, he has been maxing shot blast first. Already has 4 points in that, 2 points in hypercharge. So that when he does, he's definitely building towards the long-range Jace rather than the melee Jace. He's going to try and poke out. He's going to try and put as much damage in a short period of time onto the tower as he possibly can. But Akilord is chugging through some health pots previously, in fact the flask, and we'll be going back towards full again. Lulu and Caitlyn are already taking this tower to about a quarter of its HP, so they've been doing a great job of pushing back Samwise and Akamezz. The Chain of Corruption does come out, lands on towards Freeze, flashing in the ways Mithy. Very nice support work, and the Wild Growth as well, disrupting the 2 duo bot lane for Animate. Now going to be turning back on towards Samwise again. Pilt of a Peacemaker does land, but that is pretty much going to signify the end. Or is it? Because Balluno is charging up. Ace in the Heart has been popped across. Barrier was used there from Samwise, and he escapes with about 20 HP overall. Balluno not jumping in at the end there. So, yeah, no kills going down. But with all that pressure being piled on the duo bot lane for Animate, they're going to pick up that second tower.
Yeah, and Lulu and Shaka, they're just saying, oh, hello. and then backing off from each other, kind of deciding that neither of them were going to be able to go for the other guy's bot lane. If that was the case, and we do see Malunu putting down that ward, going to be just keeping that vision of that blue buff. He knows it'll probably spawn before the ward runs out, probably around 30 minutes maybe. That's about the usual timing, roughly. So he will obviously therefore be able to, go back to farming his jungle. Will have that awareness when it spawns, even if he doesn't necessarily have the exact timer. So Yamato Cannon in this top lane, actually putting down quite a lot of damage on Vizicsacsi. He's got that Spirit of the Elder Lizard, so obviously a very popular item at the moment. Has that armor pen, has that cooldown reduction. All stats that are really, really nice on that Jarvan. Kind of not making him tanky, but it does, accentuate his damage in a lot of different ways. So he is going to be actually applying a lot of pressure, as I say, to this top lane. Vizicsacsi on 70 CS to Jarvan 63, so that's still a little bit of an advantage to Vizicsacsi. And Yamato Cannon going to be trying to pull that back in, though. He does have the AD for the last hitting, as compared to the Seeker's Arm Guard for Vizicsacsi, who can still use his Q to farm, and is obviously feeling very paranoid at the moment, because he just legged it without knowing where the jungle was.
Oh, you do have a death sentence actually landing on towards Mithy. Will they be following this one up? The Hail of Arrows goes down as well. They are hungry for this kill, but here comes Freeze from the side. However, Shaka is from behind. Chain of Corruption has been used again. Depth charge on towards Freeze, forcing the flash, but knocking both of them up there. They're not going to go for the tower dive, though. Not feeling strong enough just yet. And again, this duo bot lane are teasing each other. Ace in the hole has been popped across, just doing a fair amount of burst damage, allowing Malunu to come around from the side. Are they going to try and re-engage this? Malunu thought about the slingshot for a couple seconds, decides not to. Lantern was used as well, but here comes Extinct from the side, popping up the shock blast, doesn't manage to connect, and he's actually looking like he may back off. In fact, you do have the slingshot going in, round the backside from Malunu, and the Zac attack with the Let's Bounce. Box has been put down from Akamezz. Here comes Ari from the side, though. This could be a case that they turn this one around pretty nicely. If that's not going to be the case, Jace will take down Nautilus, now chasing after Samwise. Shot blast narrowly missing him beforehand, and that's going to mark the end of this engage with a 1-0. But with all the pressure they put down and taking the jungler as well, they could definitely just turn around here, pick up the tower, or go for the Drake. They pretty much have every opportunity they want. Extinct is thinking about going back in once again. Flay was used from Akamezz pushing him back, but they are indeed going to go for this tower.
Yeah, and in fact they're going to get that tower and then probably look to go for that dragon as well. There's nothing really to stop them from doing that. There's no real revenge play that Alternate can make, as a result of that. So yeah, why not? Just go for it. Wait, Alternate? My memory is a goldfish memory, whatever. Freeze and the rest of them are now putting down some damage on that dragon, and actually Akilord not going to get caught out. Malunu did charge the slingshot, but now potentially going to get caught out. Flash from Akamezz, doesn't manage to get it. The anchor gets flashed as well. We're just getting quite close here, but it doesn't look like Heimerdingers Colossi are going to be able to contest this dragon. They are still poking around, though, looking to do some damage. We've got the Shock Blast landing. Akilord is still decently low. Most of the cooldowns are available. Chain of Corruption will be up in about 5 seconds, but that fight is not going to happen. Extinct still hanging around, though. He may still look for this. Has landed the burst on Samwise. He's still poking around. He's not actually visible, though, so are they going to go for this? They have actually got the 3-man invade. Chain of Corruption goes down. Malunu now in trouble. The hook actually misses. Malunu actually does dodge, I think, with that slingshot, but he is going to die. And so the rest of his team are going to abandon ship and leave him to die while Shaka laughs.
Shaka with a heat-seeking anchor actually caught Malunu in midair there and dragged him back again. He's used a depth charge on towards Extinct. Dredgeline comes out as well. Extinct hanging around for way too long. And this is what I was talking about before in the first couple minutes, that Heimerdingers Colossi, very aggressive team. Awesome to watch from a spectatorial viewpoint, but sometimes they just look around for too long. They get too aggressive, they get too ballsy, and they get punished for it. Extinct died for effectively nothing there. Completely picked off from the depth charge plus dredge line from Shaka, and that's actually going to spell the end of this bot tower, you have to feel. So that's how important picks can be in League of Legends. You get a pick, you pick up a global objective.
Yeah, so obviously not an ideal situation there, but that's going to give them some momentum to come back into this game. Animate, he says, having remembered now which team is which. And actually now Akamezz is low, but I'm not sure they wanted to go for that. Mithy is in the middle of the team. We've got the teleport coming in. Freeze is going to be in trouble here. We've got the jump in from Malunu, but Akilord is going to come in if he has the ultimate up, which he does not appear to. So he's not actually going to go for that aggression. We have got Malunu still in trouble, though. He's going to get bursted down. He jumped in there. possibly pointlessly not going to be able to make anything happen. Job on the fourth, the Yamato Cannon still pushing this top lane pretty much one-on-one with Vizicsacsi, who is still actually now falling behind on farm.
Yeah, we have two Seekers Arm Guards, so could potentially have two Zoni's Hourglasses coming up in the near future as they start to recall. Spirit of the Ancient Golem finished off onto Nautilus. You're going to have a Sight Stone as well to Thresh. Lots of action at top lane as the Ignite and the Slicing Maelstrom come down. The Yamato Cannon does come out ahead though. With Kennen very, very low health, is going to have to go ahead and recall. So Yamato Cannon's going to be able to put down some damage here on the top tower. Not for too long though, because Shaka is just chasing towards him. Has the mobility boots. We see this very often with Nautilus. In fact, he's been caught for a shot blast. And now here comes a flanker drag from Yamato Cannon. He does manage to dredge line himself away from danger, but still getting chunked down very, very low. And with Ari and Samwise coming up from the side, that is going to basically tell Extinct Yamato Cannon to get the hell out of there, or they will find themselves 6 feet under. Can Ari chase after? Doesn't look like she was too interested. Didn't have a great deal of backup. May have been signing her own death warrant. So that is going to mark the end of that. But still, a fair amount of damage put down at the top tower. And global objective-wise, you have to say Heimerdingers Colossi looking very strong. 4 towers to 1.
Yeah, they are really, really solid at the moment. It's got to be said, though, considering the 4 towers difference, they don't have that big of a gold advantage. And now the question is going to be, who's going to have the better team fight? Yamato Cannon and Malunu obviously forming a very similar role at the moment. They're kind of tanky bruisers jumping into the middle, putting down a fair bit of damage. But Yamato Cannon is still quite squishy. He's built quite a lot of MR. He's built Hexdrink. He's built Merc Treads. He's got that Ruby Crystal, which I don't know what that's going to go into. Maybe an Aegis, maybe a Warmog, something like that. Anyway. But is he going to be able to actually do or what he needs to be doing, which is kind of jumping in to the middle of the enemy team? He might still be a little bit squishy for that role. He obviously is going to be doing more damage than your average jungle Jarvan though, so that's going to be scary. But with the rest of his team, are they going to be able to hold up to the AoE that Animate are going to put out? They've got that ultimate from Kennen, they've got that ultimate from Nautilus, they've got that box, they've got that Chain of Corruption, they've got that Ari who everything really is AoE, although kind of not huge AoE, just like small AoEs, but lots of them, so you know, sort of balances out to being an AoE character in my book. But yeah, I feel like they may not actually have these team fights unless they can catch people off guard, although Heimerdingers Colossi have a very good comp for doing so.
Yeah, if you liken Akilord's Ari to an animal, you could say, like, you know, Vhagar is a great white shark. He's going to burst you, he's going to chunk you very quickly. Ari reminds me more like a shoal of piranhas. He's going to nibble away at you constantly with all of her abilities while she flies in the team fight. So, as you say, very, very correctly, she is AoE, but she's not going to have that kind of burst damage that the likes of a Vhagar is that we saw last time around. Either way, we do see them pulling themselves back here with the global disadvantage 4-1 towers. That is going to be shown in where they are on the map. They are back very much in their own half. This is going to allow Heimerdingers Colossi to have pretty much total control and a stranglehold over Drake when it respawns, because it's such a long distance for Animate to travel. So many wards are being taken out now from Mythies, planting down pinks here, there, and everywhere. And this is going to allow them to put more damage on towards mid. Look how quickly it's going down with the hypercharge of Jace. Let's have a quick look at his items. Does he have the... Yeah, does have the Mirror Man and the Last Wisp. We are going to have an engage though, as Luno jumps in with the Let's Bounce. He hasn't actually managed to do a great deal with it so far. Jumping in there right at the end. Extinct is doing so much damage, takes down Thresh at the end, but he will go down himself. Double kill coming in from Kennen. He will be shut down though from Freeze almost instantly afterwards. In fact, it's Lulu who takes the kill. But this is a 2-for-3 exchange. And Varus and both Ari are alive, so this is pretty scary for Heimerdingers Colossi. I'm not sure they want to be re-engaging back into this, because if a charm lands, they are going to die. 2-for-3, but they lose a tower. So again, you have to say that Heimerdingers Colossi come out slightly ahead.
Yeah, so that aggression there worked out for them, even though they lost the fight. Obviously, just able to take that tower. Maybe they could have taken the tower and then just backed off, but they're not going to be too unhappy, because partly, apart from anything else, it prevents Animate, damn my brain, from coming back into this kind of getting control of where they need to be, because you actually saw them getting outmaneuvered there. Heimerdingers Colossi were pushing down that mid before Animate could even react, before they even were aware they were going to push down mid. So that is a difficult situation to be in. Obviously, Animate want to get control of the game. They want to get some wards down, and Akamezz is doing a pretty good job of doing that now. He's putting down wards pretty much everywhere, in fact, and that is going to be potentially a bad thing, though. Bad thing, sorry, full perspective. Heimerdingers Colossi actually catches Yamato Can, who gets charmed as well, but now in the backline, Malunu, Samwise and Akilord are going to have to run away from this. They are going to be going in. Extinct is in the middle of the fight. He's jumping back, and again, going to be going back to range form as soon as he can. And now we have the disengage here. We have got Animate in a bit of a bad situation, though. Extinct might be able to chase this down. He has got a lot of damage. They have got the glitter lance not landing. The acceleration gate goes down. Extinct goes down. Samwise jumping into the middle of the death. So now we actually have a very, very good situation for Heimerdingers Colossi again.
Yeah, 4 for 0 exchange, but Animate did manage to pick up the Drake just before that team fight went down. They are still back in their spawn though, and I have to feel that they're waiting with bated breath until some of these Onion Hourglasses are finished off, because it's going to give Kennen a lot more survivability. He's going to be able to just basically jump in the middle of the fray, not care a great deal, pop down his Slicing Maelstrom without any repercussions until he comes out. Same with Ari, she wants to be in people's faces, she wants to be that piranha nibbling away at the enemy team, and without this Onion's Hourglass, she's not able to do a great deal, because as soon as she jumps in, she has this wave of CC AoE in her face, and then if she somehow survives that, you've got all the poke following it. So I have to feel that they're trying to stall off until Azoni's Hourglasses come up here for their 2 AP carries, but it's very difficult because they're being forced back, and all the time that they're back on this side of the map, on pretty much in their base, it allows Heimerdingers Colossi to take more advantage, to basically strangle them out, choke them out, make it as claustrophobic and as miserable as possible, take their buffs whenever they please, take their Wraith Camp, not give them any farm at all. And you can see that Caitlyn, although she has no kills, does have a Bloodthirster and a Last Whisper, which is pretty significant when you compare that Varus just has the Blade of the Ruined King and a pickaxe.
Yeah, that's got to be at least 1,000 gold difference between the two of them, and that's purely... Wait, actually no, it's actually because Varus has not spent his gold recently. He can probably pick up his own Last Whisper very shortly, if that's what he chooses to go for here. But I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. We actually have Extinct putting down some poke, covering Mithy while he clears those wards out. And this is definitely, as you say, an aggressive gameplay by Heimerdingers Colossi. They're taking control wherever they possibly can. We actually have Akilord going in with the ultimate now, going in with the charm, but it misses Freeze and he's not able to get it down. Over Deception goes down, but the Ace in the hole and the Shock Blast was not enough because we had Vizicsacsi tanking it for them. But now they're going to have to run, and now they're going to have to try and find an opportunity to heal and get those key cooldowns back. That could cost them that mid tower, that could cost them that upper tower. There's a lot of ways that engage there could backfire on them.
Yeah, I think the mentality between Animate's players is that Jarvan was top and he doesn't have a teleport, so they were thinking, okay, let's try and capitalize on this and force a 4v5 fight. But the problem was that Ari missed the charm. It was a narrow miss, but it was a miss all the same. Had that landed onto Caitlyn, I believe they would have tried to go full all in, pick up the kill on the AD carry and try and make something happen, but didn't quite land. Either way, you are seeing that Heimerdingers Colossi going to be poking. Look at the chunk damage. That's almost half of Samwise's health instantly from one shock blast. So Last Whisper, Brutalizer, and the Muramana from Jace. He's going to be doing the same again. Shaka, who is one of the tankier champions on Animate's team, is so low that he can't afford to be around when this tower falls. And that's the strength of a poke comp. You poke the enemy down, they can't defend, you pick up towers, you rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and actually it looks like they're going straight for this Baron now. Mithy does have that Oracle, so they will be able to reveal it when it happens. But Freeze could actually get caught out here. He is actually being knocked up by Baron, and now we have he's seen Shaka coming in. Red buff is up, so he's actually going to be doing a bit of damage to Shaka before abandoning ship with the rest of his team. The charm misses there. Freeze going to be walking on out with that Whimsy, and it does look like they might look to re-engage, even though they are not on full health right now. Extinct looking for that poke. The damage on Akilord is pretty significant from Ace in the hole, though. It's channeling Sniper there. Shaka actually in a bit of trouble here. He's going to have to flash over that wall. Yamato Cannon with that Whimsy. That Whimsy is actually being used to great effect. You've got to give credit to Mithy here. He's speeding up all the right people, because too many people just save it as just a CC on the enemy, which admittedly it's very strong at. But we actually are now seeing Heimerdingers Colossi going back for the Baron. They know they forced them back with that poke, so they're going to go for it. And it does look like this time they might get it done in time. Freeze is hanging around, and I don't think that's even suspected. We are seeing Akilord teleporting bot. He's going to try and take some towers here. Might even get one, but that's not worth it for a Baron. Not at all.
Yeah, I think Akilord realized that the Baron was very much on the cards and just tried to put some pressure down. I mean, teleport is there to be used. Ultimately, that's what summoner spells are there for. So she's going to try and make something happen here. Does get the tower very, very low. In fact, it may fall to the minions here. I think it's going to be very close. It survived on 40 hit points. So one more auto attack and that will fall. So nice play from Akilord to try and make something happen. They couldn't contest the Baron. If they'd gone in there, they would have died without any doubts whatsoever. Still, Nozonia's Hourglass has been picked up. Let's have a quick look at the gold. 1,400 for Ari. So still quite a long way behind here. And if you have a quick look at the team of Heimerdingers Colossi, Jarvan is building very tanky, has a Giant Spell and a Ruby Crystal alongside the Hex Trinket. It's a smart item to build against a double AP comp, of course. But we do have Extinct coming in now, trying to steal this blue buff. Has been charmed from Ari and death sentenced as well. Samwise flashing there, making sure he was not around to feel the full force of Freeze's auto attack. So flashing through does catch a shockwave on the way up though, so he's going to have to go back to spawn. And this is just one of those clinical performances from Heimerdingers Colossi. They've taken the lead and they're not letting up. They're just going for the jugular constantly.
Yeah, I mean, they just intend to kill constantly. They are just constantly pressuring. The only way it can go wrong is if they go too aggressive, but it's getting to the point where that's proving difficult for them. They are now getting the poke down on that mid tower. The other lanes are actually pushing against them, but it will take a long time for that to be serious in top lane. And in fact, bot lane will eventually be in their favor. So they're quite happy for that to happen. Ace in the hole goes down. Akilord takes more than half health damage from the poke. And although they're having some difficulty getting the poke down in serious amounts, they are going to be able to get some attacks down. Hypercharge is available. He does put a bit down with that Jace. Extinct damaging the tower. They are just taking this out. It's going to go down. Akamezz is now on that guy, but Cataclysm is in the backline and Vizicsacsi is unable to take people out. He's going to get blown out. Akamezz gets blown up. We've now got Yamato Cannon flashing out. He's okay, but Lulu slows Akilord. Akilord now in trouble, having to pop the ult defensively, and that is going to be a very, very costly loss for them. In fact, it may even be a win right here. Extinct goes really bit interesting there. Hammer form and smashes on the tower for no readily apparent reason. Akilord does have Home Guard, and now they're going to have to run from this. He's actually flashing into the middle now. Has been squirreled though. He just gets bursted out. Shaka now going to be taking a lot of damage, and now they're going to go for the Nexus instead. 5 seconds on Akamezz, but I don't think it matters. GG well played coming out. Heimerdingers Colossi, really dominant performance overall. GG well played. Surrender vote comes in.
Wow, I mean, something that a lot of teams struggle with is how to finish games. They get a lead, but then the opposition turtles in and they get frustrated and they make mistakes. But Heimerdingers Colossi, to me, seem like one of the best teams I've seen in recent times at finishing games out. They take the early lead with a few kills. The lane switch works out really well for them. They take top tower. Caitlyn, Lulu go bot tower, take that one out as well, take every Drake, and start to force these global objectives. And Animate really couldn't do anything about it. Heimerdingers Colossi would just, that was almost, I want to say, a flawless performance from them. They took the early advantage, they brought it home, 27-minute victory, that will be job done for them. So that's the first game down in this best of three, ladies and gents. Remember, we could potentially have two more coming up here, and very fast, you know. Spud, the previous best of three that you watched may not have been the most frantic gameplay ever, but Heimerdingers Colossi are really trying to make amends here.